Okay, so are you ready to dive into the surprisingly complex world of toys and games shop managers?
I'm ready. It seems like a fun job, but I bet there is way more to it than it seems.
You got it, and we're lucky to have some really cool sources to help us break it all down. We've got a whole career guide dedicated to it, plus some info on a tool called RoleCatcher that seems super useful, and even some real interview questions.
Oh, wow. Yeah, with all that, we should be able to paint a pretty complete picture of this career path.
Exactly. So no offense to any toys and games shop managers out there, but when we hear that job title, we don't exactly think high stakes, data-driven career.
I know. You think of someone who just likes to play with toys all day, but it's got to be more than that, right?
Way more. This career guide actually really emphasizes how important data analysis is for these managers.
Really? Like, what? Tell me more.
So it's more than just keeping track of inventory. They're really digging into the sales numbers, like figuring out what's trending, what's not, and then they use that to make decisions that affect the entire store.
Wow, so they have to think strategically about what's going to sell. That's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely. And get this, the guide even compares them to Wall Street analysts because they're looking at the competition, anticipating those big holiday shopping rushes, even trying to figure out what different age groups are buying.
Oh, wow. So it's almost like they need to be a mind reader to predict what the next hot toy is going to be.
Uh-huh, right. It's a really interesting mix of creativity and analytical skills because you got to tap into what kids want, but also be able to think like, well, a business person.
You got to have both.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about managing people, which I bet is no walk in the park.
Yeah, the career guide talks about that too, how you have to lead a team, motivate them, create a positive environment for everyone.
Which makes sense because you're not just selling a toy, you're selling an experience, right? It's about creating those happy memories.
That's such a good point. It's about making magic happen in the store.
Exactly. Speaking of making magic happen, what about the inventory side of things? That's got to be a wild ride.
Oh, I bet. Just thinking about having enough of those must-have toys during the holidays or when a new game comes out, it's logistical nightmare fuel.
Right. Like what happens if they run out of the one thing every kid wants for Christmas?
Yeah.
Disaster.
Total disaster. And that's where the inventory management comes in, which, from what the guide says, is way more intense than you'd think.
Really? Tell me more. What does it entail?
So these managers are dealing with these complex supply chains. They have to negotiate contracts and obviously make sure the right products are there at the right time.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. It's like they're juggling a million things at once.
They really are. One miscalculation, and it could mean missed sales, upset customers, and even hurt the store's reputation.
It's a high-stakes game for
Yeah.
sure. And especially with how fast trends change these days, right? It's like one minute those little rubber band bracelets are all the rage, and the next it's all about AI robots that can play chess.
Right. And speaking of careers, the career guide actually lays out a whole path you can take, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that.
So you can actually start as a sales assistant, like entry level, you're learning the ropes, customer service, all that.
That makes sense. Get your foot in the door.
Exactly. And then as you gain experience, prove yourself, you can move up to assistant shop manager.
So more responsibility. Like what kinds of things would you be doing?
Yeah, so you'd start training other staff, overseeing how things run day to day, even get involved with those awesome displays they create.
Oh, the visual merchandising. I always love seeing those. It's like they build a whole little world in the store.
Right. There's so much creativity there, you got to have an eye for it.
Right.
But yeah, then of course the big one, shop manager.
So that's where you're like running the whole show.
Pretty much, yeah. Sales, managing the staff, inventory, building relationships with the companies that supply the toys and games.
That's a lot, but also sounds kind of amazing. Like you have a lot of freedom to put your own stamp on things.
Totally. And it doesn't even end there, get this.
Hmm.
From there, you can become a regional manager.
Whoa, so you're in charge of multiple stores then?
Exactly. You'd be setting sales goals for a whole region, planning the marketing, managing budgets, the whole shebang.
That's serious business. I guess if you really love toys and games, this could be the ultimate career, huh?
And for the truly ambitious, it goes even higher. There's operations director.
No way. What do they do?
Okay, so we're talking big picture stuff now, shaping the entire direction of the company, figuring out market trends, making those big decisions.
Wow, from toy soldier to toy soldier CEO, pretty much. But let's be real, getting any of these jobs is super competitive these days.
Oh, tell me about it. That's where the RoleCatcher info comes in handy.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that before. What is it, like a secret weapon for job hunting?
Basically, it's supposed to make your resume amazing and gives you all this insider knowledge on companies.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Break it down for me. How does it work?
So first of all, they have this AI-powered resume builder thing, which sounds kind of intimidating, but it's supposed to make your resume stand out.
AI, huh? So it's not just like checking your spelling or whatever.
Nope, it analyzes the job description, figures out exactly what skills they're looking for, and then helps you highlight the best parts of your experience.
So it's like having a personal resume writer who speaks robot.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
basically. And that's not all. They also have these super detailed career guides, including one for toys and game shop managers.
So I could see what they typically ask in interviews. What kind of salary to expect.
All of that. It's like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. But you know what always gets me nervous? The actual interview.
Ugh, the worst, right? You just never know what they're going to ask.
Exactly. But wait, didn't you say RoleCatcher helps with that too?
They do. They have an interview practice feature that I'm dying to try.
Okay, now that is seriously cool. How does it work?
They use AI again to create these super realistic mock interviews based on questions people have actually been asked in the past for that specific career.
So no more practicing in the mirror and hoping for the best.
Exactly. It's like having a personal coach, but digital.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool how technology is changing the whole job hunting game.
It really is. And honestly, I think it's giving people more power, you know? You have the tools to really understand the process and put your best foot forward.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, like they always say. Or in this case, data-driven
Oh,
knowledge.
sure. The more information you have, the better prepared you are in any situation, really. But it's funny, we've been talking about data and technology for job hunting, but what about the actual toys and games?
Oh, right. Like the stuff they're actually selling is changing too, isn't it?
Totally. I mean, think about it. It's not just your classic board games and teddy bears anymore.
Yeah, now you've got all these high-tech gadgets, video games that are like insanely realistic, even toys that use AI, right?
Crazy. So these shop managers, they can't just know about inventory and sales. They also need to be up to date on all the latest tech trends.
Because they need to be able to explain it to the parents, right? Who probably have no idea what it is.
Exactly. And not just the parents, the kids too. It's like, how do you even demonstrate a toy that connects to the internet and teaches you coding? It's a whole different ballgame.
You're telling me. I can barely work my own phone half the time.
Yeah.
But it is kind of cool, right? It's like these toys are becoming more sophisticated, so the job of selling them has to evolve too.
Totally. And that's actually something that's been coming up a lot in this deep dive, this idea of evolution. Like, on the surface, toys and game shop manager, it sounds pretty straightforward.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But we've uncovered so much more to it. Like, it requires a really unique set of skills.
Totally. You've got to be creative, analytical, good with people, tech savvy, the list goes on and on. And it seems like the industry is only getting more demanding.
For sure. But that also means there's more room to grow, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you can really master this role, you've got some serious career potential.
Absolutely. And that's a great takeaway for anyone listening, I think. Don't judge a career by its cover, you know?
So true.
Yeah.
Dig a little deeper, you might be surprised by what you find.
Exactly. Well, on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, and I, for one, have a whole new appreciation for toys and game shop managers.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's definitely not all fun and games, but it sounds like a pretty rewarding career path.
Totally. So, to everyone listening, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.
See ya.